always follow you around. And everybody thinks your horse was frozen up with you. Just don't try. It's a very, the horses really like licorice. Thank you. They like beer, they like licorice. In Australia, it's really common to give horses licorice as a treat.
My horse loves licorice.
Yes.
All kinds.
Do you have reception? Good, okay. Because when you guys are all the way over there, you'll hear me a lot better. And it's a lot easier to stay calm and collected when you're trying to hear, for instance. And it's so much easier to kind of go, yeah. So, and then make the noises of all the licorice in your ears. So confidence in mounted fencing, confidence in engagement. That's a good question. Yeah. It's kind of an interesting question because it's something you don't get to talk about a lot. It's actual tactics, if you will, because in a way it's a lot about tactics. And every horse is different, every horse's level is different. But even on the same horse, even if I teach mounted fencing on my own horses at home, depending on who's on that horse, we have a different set of options. And then people have their tendencies. So, for instance, he fights very fast and very short. So you need to try and engage him at a distance where he can't play his game yet. But he's not going to let you hover at that distance. He's going to constantly try to control the distance to his benefit. So you then need to control the distance to your benefit. Does that make sense? Now, so what really helps me when somebody comes in too close to me, I'm just trying to think of the years when we had a particular guy who wrote the Blue Roman Jada that you might have seen on the internet. He always was right in your face. So I did a bunch of things to accommodate that type of fight. So like I say, one of the things that I mentioned before was lure him to you while someone else beats him up. That's a pretty good one, but that works in a group fight. What if in a one-on-one fight? Then you don't have any help. But that can really, you know, when somebody wants to close, as long as you're quicker than them, you can just try to make it into a bullfight. Where you kind of go, come on, come on, come on, come on, ha, mine. Yeah, so they snipe. Once the initial attack has been avoided, you snipe. And you go around the threat. That's what a bullfighter constantly does. A bullfighter is very defensive. Does that make sense? So if you watch bullfight, Regioneo, in particular the Portuguese, which is a bit less bloody anyway, they do that all the time. They're constantly going out of the way. But the bull is very, very predictable. The problem with this tactic is that sword fighters on horseback are not that predictable. And this is where that tactic becomes actually significantly harder. But we're going to start with that anyway. So you need to be a bit of a bull about this now, to give her a bit of a chance. But it's kind of an interesting little game to play. So you have a longer sword anyway than him, right? Oh, you have the same sword. All right, okay, but you had before. No, it's fine. I just didn't see what you had there. So you take a sword, and we're just going to do this in walk, just to get our heads around it. Now, as you approach each other, you want to make sure that you do your strike right, because he has this sort of 90-degree chambering that he tends to go to, and then from there he throws his blade out. So, but what you kind of had a tendency to do yesterday was, okay, are we nearly fighting yet? Are we nearly fighting yet? And then you throw the tip, and then you get hit, and then oh, we're fighting. Oh, see. Oh, yeah, I already got hit. Yes, you see what I mean? So if it's a bit like driving your tank across an open field and going, oh, are there hidden anti-tank positions over there? Oh, well. That's kind of what people tend to do against that tactic. So because he's keeping his guard back, And he's used to being the most confident person on the field. He can just kind of throw it out there at his leisure. So what you're going to do is you're going to just ride past each other and let this same thing happen twice. So you pass each other by, turn around, pass each other by, just in a walk. The same thing that we started off with the black and the white team. And you let him just smack you in the face. You just observe what tends to happen. Yes? And then on the third pass, half a step earlier, you're going to smack him in the face. And if she tries, you're just going to let her do that. Just for a second. Yeah? So you kind of go, heat goes, and you just do your regular thing. Yeah. Bam! You know, that flow of the tip? You just let that one happen. And you see that, and you see it land, and on the third one you go, I'm going to be first. When you're first, you hold your sword like this, and you don't kind of throw it like this, you throw it forward and like that. Yeah, so it's like this. And then you hold it, make sure that it lands in here, that bit. That's where it ends up. So you don't have to hold it very strong. And then you see that how much you can extend this? Now, and you try to extend the stride of your horse as you do it. So you have that inside hind leg coming forward. Yeah? If you can. So you have this hip ahead. So, first two strikes, you just hit her. Third strike, you go, I hit her first. Yeah, but you hit him sort of here. But he's moving, so sort of here. Does that make sense? Okay, try that. Second go. Yeah. Ready? So bring your sword up, get ready. And you just throw it first. Okay. About there. And that's still late, you see?
Yeah, I hear.
Yeah. Do it again, and you're just going to hit him. Ready? And just throw your fist forward, and the tip will go ahead of that. Okay, forward. And go. You see that you hit with the middle of the sword? Yes. So, okay. Try and hit my hand. So, you can hit about, hang on, don't lean, just bring your hip forward. There we go. So, you can hit about here. Now, bring it back. So, where you start, and then bring it forward like that. Yeah, now, try to make sure you don't come over the top, but you come from here. Hopla. There, okay. From here. Yes. So, one. Now, when you do this, bam, the distance is there. When he's here, you want to hit him with this pin. The tip. They say the last 4 inches. Now, when you need to do this, he's moving. So you bring him back, and you just come forward. And, exactly, so come up, and warm my hand. Yeah, and warm my hand. You see that you come down and then push it forward? It should be punching out there. Yeah, and hands forward. And hands forward. Getting better. And hands forward. And hands forward. And hands forward. And notice that your pommel comes all the way to here, and then you bring it forward. Yeah, that's what you're currently doing. And you should be from here, you go hopla. And hopla. And hopla. And hopla. You see? And then you don't have this first second, you have straight away. Yeah? And then it pulls nicely in here, you keep your wrist straighter, and then you'll be fine. So, try to hit him almost a meter earlier than you were doing. A meter is 3 feet, like a yard.
What's a yard?
91 centimeters.
Give me inches, feet.
Okay. Ready? Get it ready. And hit him. Better. Ready, 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 ready. And go! You see it when I said go that you're still well late? Yeah, because you want to bring it down. You're fighting a bit like a Tyrannosaurus. Does that make sense? Rawr. Rawr.
Did the, what happened with the schedule? Like, because Ben is supposed to be on right now.
Yeah, but you notice that you have this tendency of bringing it online and thrust it forward like that.
I mean, I'm just
Yeah,
trying
and
to
it
let
should
people
be
do whatever, not
boom.
make a fuss.
Now the reason that that happens is that when I bring the tip in, then he goes, sure, catch, and then brings it forward. So even if you're first, he blocks this before you even try your attack. So you need to have opposition that becomes a thrust or strike. You don't really care if it's a strike or thrust. But if you do this and then thrust, it's a committed thrust because the whole thing is just moving like this. Whereas if I'm extending it like that, then it has percussion. Yeah? So you do bam! Oh, this card is out of the way. Get out of the way. Right. But that's why you go for sensing mask. That's why you go for sensing mask. The funny thing, if we talk about safety, if you do this downwards thing, the chances of you ending up with the horses are actually bigger. If you go for his face is not the horse. So, exactly. Hit his face because it's the safest thing for his horse. Okay. Once more feeling. This time in trot. You just trot past each other. And that will be earlier again because he's moving faster. And go. Oh, almost. Just extend your hand from your armpit. Okay, and go. And boom. Nearly. That was actually slightly too early that the tip went down, but you still kind of did this. You want to extend your fist and let the blade overtake. Oh, you got caught in there. Did you move it? Okay. Yes.
I'm committing to getting in position, but I'm not committed to hitting it.
Yeah, exactly. And you're not in position if you don't have opposition. So if I'll just grab this little. So. Because, of course, now he's letting you do it, as you should, as we told him to do, yes? But of course, in a fight, he's not gonna, and you know that, so that's gonna make it a bit worse. But the thing is that if he's just sitting there, then I can just hit it. Okay, that's fine. And I can do it like this. But then he can defend. But what if he's trying to get me? Then I need to cover this line. So if I bring it forward, and then go full, I have opposition. This initial strike is probably, he's not gonna let you hit him, but you need to make him move. This needs to mean something, so especially when he blocks, that gives you another option. I could wind it, go around, I could do so. What probably is going to happen is that he blocks and then brings the point to me. That's probably what he's going to do. That's what he seems to be doing a lot of. He seems to be using a lot of control around here, and then bringing the point in with whipping actions. So I know that. So what I want to do is keep this out here, and you know this cross-guard thing? If I just move my hand like this, the cross-guard is pointing. So I have a block on the left, I have this defense here. Now if he goes around, for instance, I just do that. I just turn my knuckles. And just go around on the outside, up, and then he strikes on the outside, bam. So what I'm doing is keeping the tip in one place, and just having this defensive thing. And because this is sticking out, it is protecting my hands, it's protecting me. So basically, you just hold this out here, yeah, and then you have your hand and your elbow swinging one way, yeah, and I just keep this in my hand and then swing the other way. A bit more, just there, and a little bit. You see? And then I'm coming in here, and then I'm coming in here, and I'm coming in here. Does that make sense? Yes. So I want this to be the main defense. Does that make sense? And you can just kind of defend like this and defend like that. Yeah? Now, what it allows you to do is to follow him around. Yes, follow him around. Now, and notice that as you start doing the blocking, you want to bring the tip up. What this actually does, you see that the cross guard comes up, and then we end up with this. Whereas if it's here, we don't. For two reasons. Yeah. If the moment, yeah, exactly. You're not touching. The moment you strike, you just play around, left and right and left and right. I'm just defending. There, and from here, then you can start finding gaps around this. You could try to miss my block and hit me. Yeah. But what if I'm more sort of there, and now go around? Yeah, this is already hard. See, I'm in your way. Now get to this side of me. Yes, there. That was really easy for me. And I'm still in your face. I'm just kind of go, bleh. Oh yeah, block. The fact that I'm in your face makes my life a lot easier. So you need to be in his face. You basically bury this sort of in his face as far as possible, and then defend around this. Does that make sense? There, all the way up to here, all the way up to there. Yeah, and this particular technique in detail doesn't cover everything, but it covers a lot. Yeah, and then there's deviations from here that will cover the rest. Yeah, so he knows things that he can do against this, but just give her attacks that will be covered by one of those 4 blocks. Yeah? Only those. Yeah.
So I'm fighting presence of blade.
Yes.
I tend to fight an absence of blade.
So if you're up here, for instance, this comes in here. Yeah, okay, so here, yeah, you try to put the point in my hand. This is, of course, the target, there. And then I'm coming over the top. Yeah, you just raise higher. Yeah, there. You see, it's covered now. Okay, and then I might go, well, that's covered, but what about this one? There, you see that you had to turn all the way around. So from here, you just keep the point in one place, keep it in my hand, and just go, swing all the way around, there, and higher. Yeah, there we go. And then that is covering your hand again. And then turn all the way around to here, there. Now, and usually, all you need to do is this one. Usually, this is a really good one. Yeah, so you can just defend, so you're just swinging it around like a little teeter totter? No, it's a teeter. It's like a swing, like a children's swing. So your hands are swinging, but the front of there is just sitting in one place. Just put your point in one place in space, and you're leaving it right there, and then there. Yes. Now make this swing a bit more from your shoulder joint. You feel that? That. So block. Now, and once you need a bit of power, because they strike to have a bit of a wall, you just push. You kind of cut along it. Just a little bit, here. So you cut in my hand, like you cut into a tomato. You put a bit of pressure. Yes, cut, that's the one. Okay, now here, you cut into my hand. But yeah, it needs to cut. Needs to cut. With a bit, yes, okay, and then you cut, just in my hand. There, yes, there. Which also, by the way, stabs him in the face. Yeah? Bye. Yes.
Every time you tuck it back to your belly, you give me your hip. I already have reach on you. Don't give me more.
So if he does it to me, I'll show you what you do. You do this. So, okay, I might have just about gotten away with this one. He immediately is going to give me another one. And I need to move much quicker. You see?
This one's like it's been all day.
Yeah, there's no threats. So the moment, and I look at this tiny little sword. So, and the moment I do this, and then getting around this to the other side, he needs to work for this. He needs to move me first. He can, of course, and then he goes to, suppose you go to the other side. All I need to do is just turn my knuckles. And then, oh, you want to go up there? Well, there. And I'm constantly giving him something to work with. And at some point, I'm quicker.
Get drawn back. And now he's got time to strike, and I can only, if he gives me any opening at all, I'm going to stand and hit him. But he doesn't give me an opening by staying in my face.
And from Danzig specifically says. So there we go. Van Danzig specifically says, vaar auf, and the winding is everything in mounted fencing. So you do all this sort of rotational stuff is everything you want to do. You want to come to his blade and thrust past it. So you constantly do this. I always liken it to a barrel roll of a P-51 or something. Your sword is going over there, and we're working here. So I'm just making sure that I'm sideways pressuring him when he does, all the while my point is going forward. So I'm going forward, he's going to try something, I'm going to deflect it and come forward. Yeah? But I don't stop thrusting at his face. This keeps going, because my horse is not stopping, so I have to keep... Exactly. So then the thing is that people do is go, I need to get my horse right. Is the line right? Oh, I turned the other way. Oh, no, I need to get the bend. Okay. Oh. You see? Yeah? So if I'm over here, and I turn, and I bend, and my horse is ready, and are you there yet? Are you nearly there yet? Can you come and get my sword? Yeah, in your face. Yeah, are you coming to get it? Are you coming to get it? So as I turn, I need to think about getting my horse's bum behind my sword in his face. That's already in my head. And I'm coming in there and I'm waiting for you. I'm waiting for you. I'm waiting for you. I'm first. I'm first. Yeah, that's what you need to think. I'm first. Yeah, so now, you're just going to do one strike to her head, forward and hit her in the head. And it's always from your right shoulder. Yeah? So he's going to constantly do this strike. Yeah? And do it ever so slightly short, not too much. Like an inch short maybe, but no more. Yeah? And he's just only going to do that one. Only ever going to do that one. What you do is you match it by striking from your right and hitting the edge on his flat and hitting him in the head with the very end. Yeah? And you just keep going at it. And you want to extend, and you kind of want to be first. Okay, and be first. Now you started the motion first as you should, but you did not extend. So make sure you punch your hand forward. You basically want to punch him in the face, but your arm is too short, so you use your sword instead. Does that make sense? Okay, go ahead. Once more feeling. And go. Okay, so you yielded to him. The moment he came with his sword, you lifted your hand away from it. A lot of people try to do... So you're going at him, he's going to strike at you, yeah, so I'm coming in here, and you kind of go... That's basically what you're doing. You need to think that, put that away. So much of this is mindset.
It is. It's hard for me to be aggressive.
Yeah, but you need to structure it. You need to put the strong of your sword as a structure ahead of yourself. Ready? And push it out. So you again did this thrust, you notice? Yeah, so just hold your arm a bit out and your knuckles do this the base of your sword does this little cut through his sword whilst you happen to hit him. So as you hit him in the face, so you put it out there, bam.
I'm doing this, but I'm not following through.
But this is again too twisty. It's there and you're going to do this little push cut on his sword, push cut on his sword, push cut on his sword, push cut, without leaning. It comes from here. So a push cut on his sword. Yeah? Push cut on his sword. Push cut, which happens to thrust him in the face, by the way. You see? Boom. Yeah? But this push cut gives you defense. This here is your defense. Yeah? If he comes in here and you go around it like this, yeah, then he has that defense. Yeah, you want the middle space to be yours. This is mine, and I hit you in the face. This is mine, where my hand is, and I hit you in the face. Does that make sense? Make sure you feel the inside ribcage come up, and go. And take the space. Better, you tried, you really tried. That was a lot better. And of course practice makes perfect, right? Try a little bit more of the same. And go. Oh, that was getting a lot better. You still used the thrust, but you had a bit of opposition in that. Does that make sense? Okay. And forward. And forward. Yeah, and then there your knuckles weren't pushing into his sword enough. Yes, exactly.
I'm missing a thumb now.
Yes, that's why. If the more you come out there with your hand, the less your hand gets smacked. That's weird, but it's true. Because sword, ahead. And go, forward. Getting better. You notice that he's starting to wield you off. Why? Because it's a threat to him, so he starts getting into habits of defense.
I'm really finding it hard not to defend myself.
Yes, yes, but now he had to defend himself. That's a step ahead.
I'm just like, okay, I'll take a hit. And it's like, no, I gotta hit him.
Yeah, exactly. But this is kind of the thing that he's trying to play ball. It's not that but he's so unnatural. Okay, let them do it. It's that you kind of have to have that urge to just put something in the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, or just move it away. And now he deflected it past himself, which is also fine. So what you want to do is feel where his weapon is. I want to know where his weapon is. I cannot always see, so I want to have contact to it. Now we have something that, if he does something, I notice that he does something. He's going to feel it. If we're here, I need to see it. Seeing is slow. Yeah? With these fencing masks, seeing can be very non-existent. Does that make sense? So I need to feel this. And now as I'm passing by, I might not even see him anymore, but I know where his sword is, because I can feel it. Does that make sense? And that means that we can do stuff. So once we're up here, he's on a horse, well, I might be able to go behind, but I still have contact here. I have something. Does that make sense? So you want to go there. I want to connect with his weapon. And he will constantly go like, I don't want you to do that. I want you to come off, and then I'm going to smack you. Yeah, he does these deflections and smacks and little hooks and all these little things, because he's trying to stop you doing that. So you want to kind of do that to him, that he needs to deal with you being there. So what we're going to do next is a circling exercise where you circle around each other. So head toward the ball of death. So we're circling around each other and we're just keeping this contact here. And then what he's trying to do is he's going to try and hit me on the head from both sides. And you're going to kind of go around, and I need to find it again. Go around, find it again. Go around, and he keeps going at it. But you're trying to just defend and keep the points as close to his face as possible. Yeah, and you're just kind of defending. And he can do a few slightly more, yeah, and he's trying, and all we do is kind of go, no you don't, no you don't, no you don't, no you don't, as you're turning around. Yeah, so remember, your point is in his face, you don't have to actually thrust, yeah, and then you constantly go, no you don't, no you don't, no you don't, as you're turning around each other. Yeah, but make sure it's forward. Now, what is really important when you do this toilet ball of death is that you keep your shoulder blade like that, because it allows you to keep your force up like that. Does that make sense? So you don't lean like this. You keep your shoulder blade here. So have you ever seen this sort of saber position with the sword? It looks a bit weird. Why did they do this weird thing? You know, that it's a little bit camp. Why do they do this? Does that make sense? It's because of this. Because on horseback, you start doing it like that. Does that make sense? Okay, give it a go. Okay. Keep the point in his face. Yes. Yes, good. Yeah. Point in his face. Point in his face. Point in his face. Completely in his face. Okay. Notice that the horse is too far with his head in. More. Yes. Point in his face. Point in his face. Point in his face. Right past him. That's the one. That's much better. Okay. Now switch places again. Yeah. Good. And then knuckles. Yeah. Keep it point in his face. Point in his face. Right in his face. There we go. There we go. Point in his face though. Yes. That's it. That's it. Well done. Especially that last one. Did you see that? There you actually pushed his weapon away as he was still coming in. And you were actually on his way. You were trying to just replace your thrust. To replace that point. You even hit him. So your defense almost was an accidental attack. That's what it should be. You have enough on your mind. Now, one of the things you did was also go, bunny in the headlights. When I say bunny in the headlights, I mean you have this horse in front of you, and what people do is there's one bunny in the headlights, there's another bunny in the headlights, and they go, bunny in the headlights, head there. And they ride their horse sort of here, and then go like, I'm a bit out of reach because my horse wants to stop because the neck is in the way. So I'll reach over my horse, which constantly gives me less and less and less control. And that'll be fine, but he has an advantage. So he starts playing around with where he is. Because you kind of went, please take control over the situation. Does that make sense? So you're not going to let him do that. Yeah? So the nose of your horse needs to go through the tail of his horse. Yeah? So it's passing it by. Yeah, but you don't counter bend, so you don't bend the horse to here and then go like this. You don't do that one very much. There is a few applications of that, but they get really complicated. So nearly always you want the hollow side of your bend towards your opponent. Yeah? And then your horse's head is like yin and yang. You ride around it. Does that make sense? Yeah, so there. So then that means that the croup is slightly in, but we kind of wrap our horses around each other like this. Does that make sense? And then I can step a little bit beyond him over there. I can step over there. Like over there. Yes, over there. Yeah, but also I can play with what he can do. I could be more here, or I can start going past him, like there. But we're still passing him by. Does that make sense? And then, of course, if you want to play with the distance, you would make the yin and yang bigger with shoulder in, and smaller with travers. And bigger with shoulder in, and smaller with travers. And bigger with shoulder in, and smaller with travers. Does that make sense? Does it make sense?
It makes sense, but once you put it all together, there's so much you go, oh my God, look at it.
Yeah, there is a lot of it. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and the thing is, the moment you extend it, if the moment I pull it off like this, he starts playing you. He throws many shots. But he's not threatening anyone, but also the way is clear from here to there. It's really easy to get around. If I just do this and just have a point, he needs to move further. And this is still nothing because there's no opposition. So and then I'm going to push into this as well, and that's even further again. And that means I know where it's coming. But also the more I see it coming. So and the more I feel the pressure on my right. It comes off and I feel the pressure on my left. And it comes off and there we go. And it comes off and I'm going forward. Yeah, so I'm constantly just, whenever the pressure releases, in your face, in your face, in your face, in your face. I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm just going to stab you in the face regardless. I don't know what is going to happen, but I'm going to stab you in the face regardless. Does that make sense? That's the key. Work at distance. Keep a constant threat. Now, and when this all goes wrong, pummel him in the face. Yeah? So, and then he starts doing these deflections, you know, he takes, you know, like that one, yeah? He loves that one. So when he thrusts, of course, that's the obvious thing for him to do. Now, once he starts doing that, pummel him in the face. Yeah? If you can't keep the tip in his face, you put the other end in his face. Now, that might not always work because you need to be rather close and all that kind of stuff. But the fact that you try, yes, exactly. So if I'm here, then okay, and then suppose my sword would be ridiculously long, and he needs to do this deflection that he just did, you know, this one, and then yeah. So he does this deflection, and bang. And also, I'm trying to be under his wrist. I'm trying to put my horse right under there. And it's just an uppercut with the pommel. Have a fancy mask on. Uppercut on pommel. Be fury about it. Does that make sense? But in order to make it more aggressive, you need to extend it away from you. And don't lean. Because you lean, you become tentative. You become aggressive. You're right, it is aggressive, but I wouldn't call it that. I think you want to dominate the space. Does that make sense? You want this space to be yours. And the further it is away from you that you dominate the space, this triangle ahead of you that is yours. The longer that triangle, the better you are. And the less he can be aggressive. Does that make sense? Because we can tell you 1,000 times you should be more aggressive, and you won't be. Because it's a game, and it's okay to just view it in a different way. Yeah, confidence is a better word, but also control. Control what's going on. I'm not going to let you. You got to work hard for this. Oh, well, fair enough. I'll let you do it. Think of it like that. Does that make sense?
It does, and I like the angle.
Yes.
Right,
Yes. It's funny that you mention driving, because I think of this as driving on the Deutsche Autobahn. You drive really fast. And you want that distance in front of you. You want to see what's going on. The further away it is, the more I can oversee. The more I have control. What happens here, I'm going to be gone. Yeah, it's this out there. And this for mounted fencing, we're moving faster than we're doing on foot. So it's more out there. Does that make sense? Right. Is that an answer to your question? An answer to your request? Now, and there's a couple more things you could do, and those are blade technical things. But you will not remember them if I tell you now. Head fall. There's a bunch of tricks you can do that you can then start throwing into doing this. But this is the basis to have that opportunity. Hence, the pommel was already on many, these flicks and things and bang and all that stuff. Yeah, your thumb on the blade makes all the difference. Yeah, and then you're way stronger. Yeah, and you bring it back. This is very commonly seen. It's rare that people bring it back. Yeah, so if I do what you do now, you do this. You see, I yield to your pressure, which means that, I might just land it, but it's not the best in the way. What I try to do is do that. Yeah, or on this side, that. You can do this a lot. When I strike from this side, you can do this as a bind behind. So you put your thumb on the blade, there, and then you go, fling, So instead of an uppercut like that, this is always tricky with your horse's head. But this one is like a helicopter. And you can keep your thumb underneath here, so you keep your wrist completely straight. And that means you have this cross guard out here, and you push into his strike, and then whack it here. And that particular strike will give you the highest blade speeds. So this one is they've measured this, the highest blade speeds they had in HEMA fencing or Zwerghaus. They go really fast. But what people usually do is they bring them back, which is why they're really slow. And the tip moves fast, but the body doesn't. And when you're putting opposition into it, then it works. Yeah, you see? There, yes. Yeah, now of course I'm standing below you, but you mostly push it to the side. Yeah, and that pushing to the side happens by pushing to the front. So you push this ahead of you, which pushes me to the side. Yeah, it's like a wedge, like that. So again, this is, those toy boxing things with the zigzag that you squeeze and the boxing glove come out. This is kind of what your sword is, the boxing glove thing, or boxing glove thing. So it's from here to there. And that means at this point is traveling to the side, but I feel as though I'm sending it forwards. And this is more or less what we just did with those strikes with you, is this side, this side, this side, this side, Schielhau saying, Schielhau on this side. It's all this extension forwards, which allows me to either strike, or if I'm slightly out of range, I just thrust. Does that make sense? And I don't have to decide until I get there. In fact, I only decide after it happened. But I have opposition into whatever I do.
How much, if any, faith coming into the process? Fainting to which is very common absence of play style, obviously.
Yes, it's not mentioned a lot, mostly mentioned on foot. I'm struggling to think of an example on horseback. But there is some sort of not quite meaning it, but still contacting. So it's not a feint as in, like, this is not very common, but I might do this and then go again or something. So, but it's kind of more like a second rabat, rather than actually stopping and going here. Because it's too slow. But also your horse will probably come out, like, trying to do this, your horse will react to that. So you will lose your horse a little bit in the process. I think that's why they don't, but they just don't seem to do that very much. What is happening is durchwechseln, where I go there and then you go through there, into the thrust. Now, that is technically feinting. But they don't call it that. They don't think of it as that. What I'm doing is I'm making a strike, and I'm going I go around the blockage, rather than trying to deceive you. I'm trying to avoid your block. Yeah, and that is not mentioned as if it's a feint. It's an avoidance of an obstacle. Does that make sense? And yeah. But what you also have a tendency to think of is when I throw a cut, that people are kind of here, and at this sort of distance, you can do a lot of feinting, like, and then you bring a block in, yes, like that kind of stuff. When I don't think of blocking, because if you throw a cut and I block it, then now open myself up for you. But if my block is always an attack, and you do that feint, yes, so you would stop feinting altogether. You would never start feinting in the first place. You would definitely not. Does that make sense? Because it's not appropriate. And that is the situation they assume. That everybody's constantly sticking each other in the face, so feinting is out of the question. Unless I can move my face. So when you're coming forward at my face, I'm coming forward here. And as you're already starting to see that I'm going to cover this line, you start taking this point around for some next thing. Yeah, and let's assume that you're going to go around in Turkish house, for instance. There, and there I might thrust, because I'm missing your attack. And there, durchwechseln is sometimes used, but even that is constantly trying to make that not an option. So feinting is kind of, you try to avoid the situation where your opponent has the chance to feint. I think that's why it's not coming up. Yes, so, is that answering your question?
It does. So, one of the things that I do when we're playing that gets you, so comics, is that we'll start out, I'll do this.
Yeah.
As soon as I go up to raise my hand, you draw back in the card.
Yes.
When you draw back in the card, I have all the time in the world to hit wherever you're not guarded.
I always have discussions when I teach sword fighting in general, on the foot, for instance, I despise teaching blocks. And this is very German of me, because they describe versetzen, the displacements. And they only describe it at the end of the book, after they've told you all sorts of fancy stuff. And then they go, oh by the way, the 4 versetzen are these 4 attacks. So they say, okay, if you come in with an attack from my right, I might do it Zorn how to beat it. That defeats your attack. If you're coming straight down, I might do, for instance, Zwerghout, for instance. That defeats your attack. Those are all the things we've already done 100 times, and you just need to pick the right one. And in fact, if you pick the wrong one, you can still make it work. But you just do this attack that happens to cut through his attack, and thereby defeats it. And thereby, it doesn't matter what he does. So they don't teach blocks. Once you just start doing Hatten or saber stuff, or all those things, what is the later teaching of swordsmanship, they go parry riposte. You practice this until parry riposte. He parries that, and then he riposte. And then at some point, the experienced person is always quicker. So yes, he's always going to get you, at which point you kind of go, I need to parry twice because I don't even get the chance to attack. And you kind of go, and at some point you make a mistake. And then if you're doing well, it's the 7th. If you're doing badly, it's the 5th. But it doesn't really matter because you're going to get hit. I want to do more attacks than him, preferably one.
One being more than zero.
More than zero, yes, exactly that. So, and this is this whole thing, my attacks needs to be my defense all the time. And that is why I try to teach people that from the get-go. And people always go, like, it's too advanced for people. But the moment you start getting that habit of defending and having this close defense, it takes forever to get out there again.
And you're playing right into my game.
Yes.
I have an entire lifetime of picking apart people's defenses. So if you don't have a defense to pick apart,
Yes.
if I have the time, I will hit you. He doesn't give me the time.
But also, the only reason I can do it because he's significantly faster than me, by far. Nearly everybody's faster than me, which is why I had to decide to try and play like this. So as he starts going around, I try to. This is still there. This is just basically constantly harassing me, and I try to defend what I'm doing. And then once he starts moving my blade out of his face, then I bring it back in. Then I'm starting to play his game basically, but I play it out there. So by the time he gets to his comfort zone, I should have already done my job. Does that make sense? Because I do it out here. Does that make sense?
It doesn't. And follow through.
And I think opposition, you do too much of this. Yeah, so you bring it up there. And it needs to be much more. And this sort of cone of defense out there. Does that make sense? So somebody said something about lances.
You want to play a little fencing with lenses? Let's get the lenses.
You've got rubber on there? Yeah, okay, cool. Those ones you mean?
No, the ones outside the arena.
The ones, yeah, the ones with the rubber tips. Okay. Take that stone. Thank you. There you go. Thank you. Just as you have your reins, hold your thumb up. Spare short. No, it's not that hard because the sword just hangs there and it helps you turn anyway. Just make sure you move with his mouth. Okay. Anything in particular you've done with lances so far?
Not much.
Have you turned under the lance yet?
No.
I love that one. Yes. Now, the key is, you know how people always put it on the foot? This is a fairly late development. Yes, you want to put it in your hip. There, yes. If it's in your hip and the horse does something weird or it's all a bit much, you can just bring your hand to your shoulder. Yeah, and then it's up there. Also, when your horse now did it, horses do this sometimes, you do a spin, and your lance is sticking out there, and there's somebody standing next to you, you whack him, or a horse, or whatever. If it's up here, you turn around, you go, I didn't mean to do that, and nothing happens. This is much more secure. The only reason that it might be a problem is roofs, but these are very short, so it's fine. It's fine. So, I'll grab something to demonstrate with. Turns under the lance are like one of my favorite exercises to learn to play with the weight and stuff like that. Now, you're familiar with the concept of couching. Yeah? Couching on the armpit. Now, when you want to couch a lance, you want to have it as high in your armpit as you can. Yeah? Now, you don't have an erect, so that makes it a lot easier because otherwise you need to get over that hook, and that's all very complicated. We don't have to do that because we don't have one. Yay! So from here, you can just go and then bring it down. Yeah, so the first thing you do from the hip to the armpit. From the hip to the armpit. From the hip to the armpit. And I'm actually leaving the tip sort of in the same place. Boom, 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 boom. I've done this so many times. Yes, and it's nice and high. Now, what people have a tendency to do is to do this quite far out. I like to do it quite far across, because this is actually easier, because the center of the lance stays sort of in front of my face. Does that make sense? Now, we're not having a lot of counterbalance here. So if I try to use my wrist to hold this lance, it will be very heavy. Yeah? And then I go like, oh, I'm not strong enough for a lance. Yeah, neither is anybody else. I haven't met a single person that could hold a real lance like this. If you handle originals, they're like twice as long as this. And they feel 10 times as heavy. Like literally 10 times as heavy. You can't do this, and especially not with a wrist like that. Yeah, so what you do is you use, if I'm sitting here and I want to raise the lance, I take my finger and stick it in my nose. Yes, and then it comes up here. Yeah, and in doing so, I want to feel the front of my pelvis come up. The front of my pelvis come up. And this is useful. Yeah, and then it can go all the way over there eventually. Yeah, I can fling it around. Hop, hop. Yeah, and you see them do this with garochas, like hop, like that. And garochas are heavy, they're big. They are really heavy. So you use that leverage and then you catch it in your armpit like that. Now that takes a bit of practice because you don't want to whack it on your horse's head. Does that make sense?
Yes.
But you try not to use your wrist. You try to use your armpit wherever possible. Yeah? Okay. Now, next. We have it couched on the left side of our body, so across our body, on the left side of our horse's head. We're going to do this finger to our nose thing to bring it up. Then we're going to drop it over our left shoulder. And our left shoulder is just going to do this little collapse. I'm going to look at the tip of the lance. Yes, and I need to make sure that I don't have too much sticking out the back. It's like a foot maybe, no more. And then what I'm going to do is get that way, yes, exactly. And as it's lying here, this is where my opponent's going to be. I'm going to screw it forward like that. And in doing so, in doing that screw, I want to send it forward to my opponent. Which also means that I'm putting it in my armpit again. Oh yes, I'm putting my armpit on the back of the lance. Oh, I lost you. Sorry there. I lost you there. No. Yes, like that. So you put it all the way in your armpit. So not just on your elbow, but all the way in your armpit. All the while you put... Oh, did I throw it again? Why does this come off? Sorry. So in doing so, I want to
Sorry. I have to make things with my hand.
That's right. In doing so, I want to put my outside leg on. So what I'm going to be doing, going over there, lifting it up, over the shoulder, turning around and going back the way I came. Lifting it up, turning around, going back the way I came. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, and walk first. Do it together in unison.
You might want to be farther away from me.
Yeah, just sort of in two paths, so you have a bit of space.
Yeah.
And do it in unison. On the left side of your horse's head. Yep, and go. And armpit. You see that you want to couch it more precise, more doing that re-couching. So you put it over your shoulder, and when you put it back into your armpit, that sends your horse along on its straight line. Yeah, so you go straight line, turn around, straight line, turn around, straight line, turn around. Yeah, and the fact that you put it in your armpit is important. Yeah, so as I do this, I'm doing, moving away from you. There, bring it over the top, turn around, and armpits, and my whole horse goes forward. Yeah, which involves a lot of this. Woof, woof. You guys don't know Black Rider. Yes. Flash by name, flash by nature. Okay, once more feeling, or a few more times with feeling. Okay, ready? You turn left. Okay, up to the leg, and couch the lance on the left side of your horse's head. Left side. Ready? Okay, come up, over your shoulder, turn, armpits. Hopla, yes, and send it forwards. Yeah, so you want to point where you're going to go next, and you keep it pointing where it's going to go next. Okay, up over your shoulder, pick a point over your shoulder, over your left shoulder. Yeah, and then look at it, and then go there. Go where the lance is going. Okay, and come up, turn,
And go where the lance is going, directly there, direct the bum of the horse under it. Yes, better by the end. So the moment you feel that he feels heavy, and it's awkward that it's heavy. That weight needs to be supported by the bum of your horse. So you want to kind of go, oh, this is heavy, I'm going to stick the bum of the horse under it. Then it's a lot less heavy. Does that make sense? There, and then stick his bum under it. Yes? Yes, you feel it going? Exactly right. That's what we want.
Be 1 acre each.
Does that make sense? Now, as you get tired, I'll give you this
Very
one.
much so.
This is heavy, but the thing is that you feel the effect feel much better with a heavy lance. It is better, but you can only do it so many times.
Right.
Does that make sense?
You need to build the muscle.
Well, you need to build the structure in your posture, because if you do it properly, you'll feel a lance in your stomach muscles, your hamstrings, and here. And you feel it in your lats, maybe in your pecs. You shouldn't feel your wrists, maybe a little bit here, but that builds up really quickly. If you do it properly, you don't use upper body strength that much. This is why, you know, when women have a tendency of saying, oh, I don't have upper body strength, so I can't do jousting, which is rubbish. Women can do jousting perfectly fine because you have legs to play with, and that will do. It's not a problem at all, as long as you don't tell yourself it's a problem. So, once more with feet. So your bum ahead. Yes, much better. Hee-haw. Yes, like that. So, yeah, you ended up in the other camp, and that has to do with the lowering of the inside of the back. So this is so much about the lifting of the inside of the back. So as the reason I do this, when I put this over the shoulder, my left buttock should come up. Yes, do you feel that? And then the acceleration of the horse is at the halfway point of the turn. So you want the inside of the horse to lift. Lift. Yep, you can do it. Lift. I would have still done that because I would have put the outside hind leg under the horse and then lifted the loin aggressively.
Yeah.
I would have kind of gone, okay, dude, you need to carry yourself. So I want, close your eyes and feel what happens behind you. I want this now. This is the key. That's when you can turn on a dime. Yeah, so you need to invite him up in here. Yeah, does that make sense?
It does. I was a little concerned about my run out with
I understand.
path, but that, yes.
Yeah, but on this one here, you need to really commit because there's hardly any space left.
Yeah, there's
Yeah,
no wall.
yeah, exactly.
No room to go, yeah.
Yes, I know. So, okay, once more feeling. Now, what you're going to do now is we're going to do the safer version of this, the use of this technique. You can do it in walk, you can do it in canter, or you can try the canter, but what we're doing is we're first meeting each other left side to left side. Yeah? And you have your lance couch, I have my lance couch, we're passing each other by. And what we're actually doing is we're passing the tips by on this side for now, on this side, so not crossed, but on this side. Right? On this side of the horse's head, you need to make sure that my tip goes over here. So it's not allowed over here. Yeah, we don't want that. On this side. Okay, we have it quite high for the sake of argument. Yes. Exactly, you keep it higher. Yeah, and we basically just go, don't hit me in the face. Yeah, basically, don't hit me in the face. And it ends up over here, basically. Basically, just tap it. But on this side, yes? Okay, now you pass each other by, and kind of go, I'm going to stab him in the back. Yeah? So once you've passed each other by, I'm going to go, as he's moving away. One slight little detail. He's not going to let you because he's going to try to save you. Beware of stopping in time. Does that make sense? Yeah? Okay. Shoot and walk first. Okay. Tips pass each other by. Yeah? And over the shoulder. Up. There we go. Yes! Exactly. Okay. You see that you start doing those small circle parries really, we call them small circle parries, those little things. it becomes really organic. Now, because the initial charge is at some point I break or lose my lance and then need to go to sword, and then everything is going to be to the right, so I want the muscles for the right turn to still be fresh when that happens. So I might literally strategically go left first. But you can also fight on the right with the lance. If you want to fight on your right, you turn right. If you want to fight on your left, you turn left. Because then your horse is already set up. Because when you make that turn, you have a moment of fiddling to get your horse right when he's already in your face. And this really breeds the thing that we've been talking about the entire time. Is this, you're already here. Yeah? It's, you want to be first.
Much more focused and driven with the lance than you are with the sword.
Yes.
Yes, my father.
Yeah. Yes, and you were starting to cheat as well, which is why you ran it.
One day though, we crossed the first path.
Exactly.
Don't reach under and hook my blade out.
Yes, because
You're
you
going to put it right across your eyes, first of all, and then across your horse. And then we're going to close on each other as we go on.
I mean, this is a technique that you can use, but one of the things is, in order to use this, I need to make sure that I know that I'm not going to get his horse here, yeah? Now, the other thing is that I need to know that as I get here, that I'm not going to just wear it, because he could outstrength me, but the other thing is that I need to be able to not end up like this, and then slap his horse, yeah? So all those things need to be in place. What I could do is reach this up and over his head, but then, because he gets a bit stronger by the end. So what you probably do, if you do this one, is you would go up and over, and lay it and go through to his armpit. But notice that this is starting to come a bit down. You see why I don't do this one first? I love doing this one, myself, but I don't do it very, haphazardly. Yes, you can. Yeah, and I need to kind of I need to slap it up enough so that they can't. And that is really tricky. And what you actually lose with real lances, because they're so much longer, they have a slight wobble, and you use the wobble to make an angle you can't get with a perfectly straight stick. See how this is getting really interesting? Because you use the wobble also of the canter where you go, especially if you're in a Reds, you kind of do this sort of nipple lift. And you go, boom. You know, like you see with the Kung Fu lances, which do this sort of flick thing, you do that with a lance as well. So that's why I try to make it a bit safer by first doing this, and then go over the shoulder, and then you get to play. So after you do that turn, you get to play. Does that make sense?
You don't get to dive out the middle and start poking inside to go on.
But then you did get it after that, as well. Yes? Okay, once more feeling, go ahead. Yeah, left from left, and tap them, yeah, and go, and turn, yes, forward, yes, get it, yeah, okay, yes, now, once he moved it, and he moved it into your thumb like this, you had a problem, yeah, and with this one you have an even bigger problem because it's heavier, the bigger the weapon, the heavier it gets, so what you can do, hang on, so, you ended up on, was it on this side or on the other side? Were you on here? Yeah, right over here. So, and then you pushed it this way, right? Yeah? You did that. And you ended up with this coming out of your armpit. First of all, I would try to keep it in my armpit. Yeah, but if that starts happening, it's coming out of your armpit, what you can actually do is bring the back, as he does that push to the tip, I can bring the back, I get him a bit stuck there, bring it up like this, and pummel him in the face again. Yes, you can pummel him in the face also with lances.
That's why there's rubber on the end.
Yes, and the other thing is they sometimes drop their range and do two-handed as well. You see this happening.
Nice.
Yeah, so you can do this, or for instance that one is mentioned as well, bang, and usually by that point
We're too close.
you're already hitting each other.
It's the same thing. Once he interdicts and continues to come forward, I can't get underneath.
But also, my horse is here, so he doesn't have that swing opportunity. So there. Does that make sense? But of course, then I'm losing the reins. Yeah, so the horse is probably going to speed up. So there's all the commitment to this. So one of the things you see them do as well is put it on their wrist, and then lifting the back up. But then I need to know what happens to the tip. Yeah, so you need to be very aware. And I like to do this like this, so I know where it is. So you can have this really swingy upwards motion of your. So you're using the back towards an opponent over there. Yeah. Or you can do it. You can do it like this, and then smack them from the top. So I'd like to have this really close to my horse, in case there's somebody beside me, or if there's somebody right here. If it's close enough to my horse, I have a lot of playroom. I like that, but of course it's not foolproof either. Yeah, because you don't want to have this. Yeah, because if I just do this, I could also slap my own horse's head like that. Does that make sense? Yeah, so it's a lot of sort of scoop like that. So I'm here, and I go scoop, Zulu. Does that make sense? So don't be afraid to Zulu. There's a whole bunch of these things where they do that. Yes, so pass each other by, turn around under the shoulder, and then play. But this time, in left lead canter. Keep it up in the inside hip. If you need to, you go back to walk, but just see where it goes.
Okay. We'll see what we do.
So the lift of your inside back of your horse is very important. So make sure. Yep. Lift the inside, Get it up, get it up, get it up. Get the turn, yeah.
You didn't ever make turns.
Now, but make sure that you,
My horse.
but go forward. It's so important you go past him first. Go past him first. The first time, ignore the first crossing. Just go past him, ride past him on your left. Try to do a left lead and just ride past him. Don't think of anything else until you do the turn. Okay, ready? Past him, yes, and then
No.
notice that your inside thigh needs to make sure you pass them by. Make it slightly wider. Don't go so close to each other. Have it slightly wider.
Okay, I'm using my horse who wants to join us with his. How do I catch him before he does that?
Use your inside thigh and make sure you start slightly wider. So the lane you imagine is, think of a motorway. He's on the other side of the motorway coming the other way. Are you in the fast lane or are you in the slow lane? Well, you can go several lanes slower, if you know what I mean. If you're slightly further apart, it will be easier, but the key thing is that your inside front leg, which is the left front leg, your thigh and your left knee and your left buttock, sending this whole left half of the horse in the direction you want to go. And there's another horse.
Okay, because we lost him standing still. His
Yes.
brain is now.
So you get ready, you turn left and you start moving. You start going over there. He gets out of your way. Because you start everything. He'll wait. Turn left, feel the left side. Come up, and then through, and start already, and go. Go, through, and a longer lane. Okay, now turn, go. To the left, yes, now play. Note to play, yes. Sit back, keep your shoulders back. That's it. Yes, like that. Good, get him. His slants is longer. Behind him, yes, behind him. Yes, keep going, that's it. You don't, carry on, play.
I went the other way, I got confused.
But what you did there, that second turn you did, when you were here and he was over there, and you turned and you said, oh, that fits his back. All you needed to do was more this, and you would have just skewered it. Yeah? Because you made the right decision, and then you became tentative.
And then I, changed my mind.
You think, oh, I'm not going to stab him in the back. No, stab him in the back! Fair fights are for suckers. Does that make sense?
Yes, I need to quit changing my mind too.
Yes. But did you notice that this initial line was much easier? Because you also gave direction. The moment you start waiting, what are we doing? Where are we going? Then he starts taking decisions. Yes? So decide first, decide first. So this horse needs to do something before that horse somehow. So you need to tell him before that this horse can do this, before this horse starts doing stuff. Because otherwise they do that amongst themselves. So that fighter does something before that fighter. But in fact, in order, because, oh hang on, what we just say about the horses, you need to be so much earlier that he's earlier than him. So you're earlier than early. Does that make sense? When he wants to get up out of bed, you've already killed him. Does that make sense? You see what I mean? The funny thing was that the technically hard bits were the things you were going, oh, I want to just go over there. Okay, sure. Yeah?
Those are what I'm comfortable with when I don't have to think. If I slow down and think, then I...
But when you said, oh, I've lost my horse, it's when you were looking down, yeah? So when you do this, you lose your horse. When you do, I'm going to go over here, the horse comes to you. Does that make sense?
It does.
Which is very similar to a lot of things we said today.
Yes. Practice it.
Ready to be done?
Yeah.
I think you are.
It seemed like it.
Put on the highlight, because until you decided,
You basically,
clear advantage, and you weren't supposed to take advantage of it, you were doing great.
Yes.
yeah, and especially because I did what?
Turning right, but I'm supposed to turn left. Okay, that's overthinking.
Yes, but also it's just the when you made that you ended up with the best bit what you did is you took advantage with the left turn in fact, and then you had him in his you could have had his kidneys basically, and then you just didn't.
You got the one thing we've done together is this horse is giving you, and because of what we did yesterday, because of how athletically he was being ridden yesterday, or his call, you were able to turn inside me on a horse that turns better than any horse I have.
Yeah, but the thing is,
Every advantage, you didn't explain it.
the thing is when he was such a practice today, he was being very athletic, and it's one of these things that if you start making decisions more, you if they're being like that, you can channel it, and this is again, this so immediately reminds me of if a Vega hasn't killed you by the age of 6, it's a good horse. But they all buy Vegas. Why? Because you can channel that thing that is also the risk, is also the opportunity. And the moment you can start seeing it as an opportunity, it's no longer a risk. Does that make sense? Because you take control. You know, when you want to do rally driving, you want a bit of drifting. You know, that's part of your game. When you're just sitting there, you're driving along, your car starts shifting around, you go, oh my god. And then it's very easy to do the wrong thing. But when you meant it to happen, you're ready for it. Does that make sense? Inside out. And then there's a whole nother level.